takes away the pass, but knocks it directly to Miles Bridges, who goes up for the win. Number 3, here's the problem when you're the guy the fans yell the Ric Flair woo at because you're a wrestling fan. Sometimes, Josh Reddick, the first baseman, is a Shawn Michaels fan. Woo! Reddick was okay and traded sportsmanlike tweets with first sacker Pete Alonso of the Mets. Number 2, our regular reminder from the Chell that they play hockey on ice. Bill Kessel of the Penguins appears to have tripped over the blue line. And number 1, England's rugby team is as tough as 15 soccer hooligans coming out of the stands. Watch bottom right. Yes, that's Italy's team doctor on the pitch tending to an injured player, and England's Johnny May says, "So what? Down goes doctor! Down goes doctor! Physician, heal thyself!" The doc was okay, but I'm afraid that roll of bandages is marred for life.
Okay, coming up, we're going to move over to ESPN2. Get Up is right here on ESPN. Jalen, not a fan of Matt Berry, after Matt said that, and don't at him, that he thinks Duke greater than with Zion, the Fab Five.
I said a healthy Zion. Give me Duke, Zion, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish. We'll find out.
We're just naming the roster.
Just hot take machines here. Get Up, Greeny and crew coming up next. We're over on ESPN2.
Good morning. It's time to get up with Zion. He is genuinely back and better than ever. If you didn't see what he did last night in his return, you are not going to believe it. He is 1 minute away. Plus, Le'Veon Bell explains why he's in a New York state of mind. We'll explain why he made the right call in the end. And it was, without question, the move of the sports year. The man who made it explains how and why it got done and takes a little shot at the same time. You'll hear it all as we get up with you, starting right now from our studios in New York. Thank you for starting your Friday with Get Up with Jalen and Greeny. Frank Vogel is back, and the Dans are here talking football. Good guest list today. But you know what we were reminded of last night, guys? Odell, spectacular. Le'Veon Bell, spectacular. The biggest star in sports right now is Zion Williamson.
Nobody's trading Zion.
Jalen, let's go. Duke and Syracuse last night. Zion's back, and he's wearing a custom pair of Kyrie 4s.
He's going to be wearing Nikes as long as he's going to play collegiate basketball at Duke, that's for sure.
It took him 2 minutes and 7 seconds to do this. The steal, the flush. Oh, he's awesome, baby.
With a capital A. And don't underestimate the fact that's a lefty right there, taking off with his right hand on the break.
And he was just getting started. Zion, offensive board, puts it back up. Wouldn't miss a shot. That's going to be a theme as we go. Later, Zion in the paint. Look at him work here. Now watch the feet. Watch the feet. Big moment here. That's Frank Howard of Syracuse. Looks like he might stick the foot out there. Now, watch the hand on Howard. To me, this is important. Howard almost immediately reaches out as though he's saying, I hope I didn't knock him down. We're going to talk about that at great length.
Okay.
Meanwhile, let's talk about the games. Zion, that's the only shot he took all night that was outside the paint. Knocks down the 3. Duke was up 6 later in the first. Loose ball. It's a scrum. It's a flush. It's an alley-oop. Oh, it's Zion, and he is dominating Jalen.
I wish effort was a statistic because as much as we're wowed by his athleticism, this guy plays really hard.
Duke was up 6 at the half, and Zion hadn't missed a shot. Under 15 to go second half. Duke's lead is only 2. Trey Jones throws it up. Zion now 10 for 10, and it continues. Watch the athleticism here. Jalen, are you kidding? The soft touch with the left hand.
That's the one thing about playing zone. You're vulnerable to rebounds, in particular a physical guy like Zion on the weak side.
Oh, but the soft touch there with that play, and now it's Zion showing you the power. I mean, the whole repertoire is on display. 12 for 12. The lead was only 6, though. Elijah Hughes. Oh, Zion playing
Get
defense.
that out of here, young fella.
He meets him at the rim. I mean, Zion just putting on a show in his first game back. Now, here we go again. Zion inside with the rebound and bullies his way in. Zion would finish 13 of 13. 29 points, 14 rebounds. Oh, by the way, this guy was pretty good, too. R.J. Barrett throws it down. Duke was pulling away late. They were up by 11. Barrett would finish with 23. One more time for R.J. Duke wins it 84-72. They get Carolina tonight on ESPN.
So the people who thought I wasn't going to return, they weren't smart. Like, I love playing with Duke. I love my teammates, and it was great to be back.
What would you want to say to those people who question you'd come back?
I mean, they are entitled to their own opinion. You know, I appreciate the input, but I can't leave my boys hanging.
I've seen a lot of great players. I'm not saying he's better than those guys, but he's a different player. He can do things that nobody has done in this game. I mean, Charles, like I've said, it was close, but this guy's bigger, stronger, and I mean, he's crazy, different type of player. There's not guys like him.
Statistically, there have been two guys who had nights like the one he had last night, and you've heard their names. Christian Laettner and Grant Hill, the only other Duke players under Coach K with 25 points, 10 boards, and 5 steals in a game. And again, Zion did it without missing a shot. Let's go down to Charlotte Live. My Uncle Seth Greenberg, is down there ready to go. You were in the gym last night to see it. Zion perfect from the floor. We just went through the highlights. What impressed you the most about what he did last night?
Greeny, I think you think that Zion's pretty good at basketball. He is. What impressed me is the energy, the enthusiasm, just his approach to how he played. We talked yesterday morning about what does he bring to this Duke team. Well, right at the start of the game, 30 seconds into the game, posts up, he gives him paint points. A minute and 30 seconds later, what does he do? He knocks a pass away, gets out in transition. He impacts the game defensively. He impacts the game with his energy. What he did yesterday was nothing short of spectacular because he impacts not just himself and what he does, but did you see the enthusiasm and the energy that the rest of this Duke team played with early in the game? That was because Zion Williamson was back. Great players make others better, not by just rebounding and scoring and getting in passing lanes. They make others better by basically their presence. And his presence changed this Duke DNA, their identity. What didn't he do? You ask, what did he do? What didn't he do? He did everything, and he did it at a high level.
No question. Now, I want to take you to the one moment in the game. We showed it briefly in the highlight there. I want everyone to see it again to get maybe before we ask your opinion on it and hear from Jim Boeheim. It involves Syracuse Frank Howard. It occurs in the first half of this game. A lot of discussion there. It does appear as though he sticks the foot out there. Let's hear from Syracuse coach Jim Boeheim on that incident after the game.
I talked to Frank. I looked at the video. There was no trip involved out there. I don't know who was talking about that, but it was a bump, and that's it. You know, there was nothing there. Trying to manufacture something out of nothing.
If you're saying I'm trying to trip him, I don't get it. You know, he's a hell of an athlete, a hell of a player. You know, I have a lot of respect for him. You know, I'm not going to wait 4 years to get to this stage to start tripping people.
Okay, thank you, guys.
It's a joke.
All right, so Jim Boeheim not mincing any words. Seth, what was your thought on the whole thing?
I talked to Jim last night after his press conference. He is totally vehement that he didn't feel like Frank Howard tripped him. Now, look, did he bump him? Did he maybe get his legs caught up? Yeah. I do think we're making more of it than it is because what? It's Duke. And what's Duke? Duke is Grayson Allen and the tripping incidents. Was it egregious? I don't think it was egregious. Did they get tied up? Yeah, they got tied up. That happens in a basketball game. You know what? I'm not going to blow this thing up. And the reason I'm not going to blow it up is we got Duke and Carolina today. You know, Zion Williamson came back and played yesterday. I don't think it's what everyone's making it out to be. I think 2 players got locked up. Did he lift his ankle up a little bit? Yeah, you know what? Frank Howard, if he tried to knock Zion Williamson down, he couldn't.
He couldn't knock him down. He could stick his foot out and trip him, though. It's tough, one way or the other. Very quickly, let me ask you this. Do you think Duke beats Carolina tonight? They've played twice before. Zion has played a total of less than a minute in those 2 games. Carolina won both. With him back, do they beat Carolina tonight?
I still think Carolina's going to win this game. I thought Zion was terrific. Second game, it'll be interesting to see his impact on the game, but his ability to change ends of the floor, defensive transition, that is going to be interesting. His ability when Carolina inverts their offense and pulls Luke May away from the basket, I think that Carolina's going to try to make Zion Williamson defend because the best way to defend Zion Williamson is get him in foul trouble. A key matchup to watch, Kobe White, Trey Jones. Trey Jones has not defended but disrupted. But when they played in Chapel Hill, Kobe White got the best of him. And the defense for Duke starts with ball pressure. Obviously, Zion makes it better because of his ability to protect the rim. But if he cannot pressure and speed up Kobe White like he did in Durham, this will be a different game. I still think Carolina, their overall experience, their overall depth wears down Duke.
All right, we'll see it tonight. Seth, well done. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. Let me bring it back to the table
guys.
here very
Appreciate
quickly, Jalen. Before we get to the game and everything else did you have the same view as Seth did about the tripping incident, if it can be called that? Did you think he tried to trip him?
So I don't want to disparage the young man because I've probably made some of the dumbest decisions of all time when I was a young person. But let's not act like he didn't try to trip him. Okay, let's not act like that they were locked up. They were not locked up, okay? We're going to judge the intent. He didn't fall. That's what saves Frank Howard. Had Zion fell, then we'd be looking at this way different. He clearly stuck out his foot, and he tried to trip him.
I must admit, I thought so too. And again, to the point, you can't knock him down with an elbow because he's so big, but you can certainly stick your foot out and trip him. I'm not going to go crazy about it, but I agree with you. I don't think it's a far stretch to say it looks like he's sticking his foot out on purpose.
You know, somebody that played college basketball, covered college basketball, this is going to be a perfect example of how, like, people that work in that game get so very blinded, almost like NFL coaches, like in a foxhole that they can't gauge reality. We're not going to overreact because he didn't fall.
Right.
But let's not act like he didn't try to.
All right, Frank, let me turn to you on Zion then, in the meantime. At watching him through the eyes of a pro basketball person, what did you see in his performance last night?
He's living up to the hype, and the hype is significant. What stuck out to me, you know about his strength, you know about his athleticism, but the activity that he played with last night, the energy, I mean, the steals, the blocks, the offensive rebounds. Jalen said it earlier. If you could track effort in a statistic, that would have been off the charts for him last night. And, if you got a guy that talented, that plays that hard, you got a special player.
For whatever this is worth, I have been Team RJ all through this. I have believed all along RJ Barrett was the best pro on that team. Last night changed my mind, Jalen. That kid, that little one play he makes with the left hand where he just puts it back with that soft touch. He won me over last night.
That's what I was trying to say to you. Like, RJ does seem like he has the skills that's going to step right in and be a perimeter player that could create shots for himself and others. But if you're a general manager, you must take Zion.
That's not debatable. He's going to go number one regardless.
I'm talking about you.
But in the long run. Well, that's why I'm not a general manager. All right, let me get you to the tournament here. Selection Sunday is 2 days away. Guess who's here? Joe Lunardi is here. Joey Brackets. He described yesterday as Judgment Day on the bubble. Here was the way it looked entering the day. Texas, as you see there, was among his last 4 in, heading into its meeting with Kansas. You see Indiana on this graphic. You see Ohio State on this graphic. All of them were in action yesterday. So, roll me some tape. Joe, as we see what happened last night, Texas versus Kansas. Kansas with the win. What did that one mean, Joe Lunardi?
It's just an enormous game for the Longhorns, Greeny. Has the committee ever taken a 500 squad as an at-large? The answer is no. I couldn't do it. Texas has some nice wins, but they have a lot, and in my mind, too many losses.
So, in your view, last night knocks them out. Let's go to Alabama and Ole Miss. The action last night. What did this game wind up meaning?
For Bama, it keeps them alive. Doesn't put them in, puts them close. Now they get Kentucky. They can pull that one off. Then let's have a new conversation for the Crimson Tide. Another team, in my view, with just too many losses.
Yeah, if they beat Kentucky, that obviously changes the narrative. But to you, this one alone doesn't put them in. And then to the Big Ten. Was Indiana-Ohio State essentially a play-in game between these two?
For me, it was, and they had different storylines coming in. Of course, for the Hoosiers, had won 4 straight to finish. For Ohio State, getting this guy, Caleb Wesson, back, who just changes their team with his ability to dominate in the low post. So Ohio State wins and in, Indiana loses and out.
And that would mean, at this moment, probably 8 teams in the Big Ten. So you saw what it looked like before the games of last night. Here's what Joe Lunardi sees for you after last night's action. Indiana effectively out. Bama leaping Texas, and again can play its way in by beating Kentucky today. Tall order in the SEC quarter. So that's the bottom of the bracket. Now let me go up to the top of the bracket. As of this moment, who are the top 1 seeds? The 4 teams. Who are the 1 seeds in your mind right now?
Well, here they are, and in this order, which is significant. Virginia, number 1 overall, started the week number 1 overall, and they're probably going to finish there. I'm still in the Gonzaga camp big time. I know a lot of people jumped off the bandwagon after they lost to St. Mary's. I'm just not seeing that. If they were one of the 4 best teams on Tuesday, they were on Wednesday.
Okay.
Kentucky, Carolina, with huge games upcoming, particularly Carolina and Duke. And here's the scenario, Greeny. There could be 3 number 1 seeds out of the ACC by the time we turn it off tonight.
How does that happen? If Duke beats Carolina, Carolina stays on the 1 line?
Well, then it depends on what Kentucky's doing. Now, Kentucky has a head-to-head win over Carolina on a neutral floor, but if they lose earlier than Carolina, let's say they lost to Alabama, right, and Carolina's losing to Duke and Zion, then I think we have a different conversation. Michigan State is the wild card here if they can run through and play a late Sunday Big Ten final.
If they win the Big Ten championship, you believe they have a chance to still be a 1 seed?
I do, if the committee's still building brackets at 5 o'clock Sunday night.
And is there another team that could? I'm thinking of Tennessee. It's had a very good year if they beat Kentucky in the conference championship.
Well, they'd have to beat Kentucky and perhaps LSU, the 1 seed in that event.
Right. And but Tennessee could still get there?
An SEC slot, if you will.
Okay, fair enough. It's going to be a very interesting weekend, and Joey will be watching your brackets for you. Of course, Selection Sunday is 48 hours away. To the National Football League, Le'Veon Bell is officially a New York Jet, signing the 4-year, $52.5 million contract with the team yesterday, and then spoke with New York area reporters on a conference call. Here's a little bit of what Le'Veon had to say.
I don't regret anything that happened. Everything has happened for a reason up to this point. The fact that I took last year off, it sucked, but at the end of December, and through January and February, it's the best my body literally has ever felt in my life. The Jets is kind of the team that, I kind of had in the back of my mind where I wanted to go. Once the numbers made sense to me, it wasn't really a hard decision. My whole family was literally Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I was literally the only one who grew up a Curtis Martin fan, loving the New York Jets. All the stars kind of aligned to the Jets.
All right, and so you see Rex Ryan here. Here's our colleague here, and he was the Jets coach, and he says with these kinds of players, oh my God, if they don't make the playoffs, it will be a disappointment. They're all in. General Manager Mike McCagnon is doing a good job here because he's all in, and he better be. These are moves you can't argue with. Rex Ryan has the Jets in the playoffs this year. The Dans have rejoined me, and they've been terrific all week long. Graziano and Orlovsky, I'll start with you. You've seen the moves the Jets have made. Are they a playoff team?
No. We got to look at the playoff picture first. I mean, New England's still there. The AFC North, Cleveland. What's Pittsburgh going to look like? AFC South, Tennessee's better. Indy's still there. Houston, the Chargers, the Chiefs. I mean, the AFC has got a lot of good teams. And still, I have questions like, what is Tremaine Johnson going to be this year? The big free agent signing from last year. What are they going to do with the offensive line? Who's going to play corner for them? So as much as I do like those pieces, those additions, this is not a playoff football team yet.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's 5 new playoff teams in the league every year. So somebody that we don't see coming is going to make the playoffs. Could they come that quickly? It depends on Sam Darnold's second-year development. Depends, as Dan says, on the offensive line, a real key point they've started to address, but maybe not as much as they need to. So is it possible, all these great players, can Le'Veon Bell run the offense? Do Le'Veon Bell, C.J. Mosley on defense? If they sneak in as a wild card, of course, but I'm not putting them up there as a contender with the Patriots for the AFC East.
All right, we'll see what they're able to do. Again, Rex Ryan is the one applying some pressure on them there, and we'll see what the fan base thinks as well. Now I want to get you, and I teased this right off the top of the show, to Cleveland. The Odell Beckham era in Cleveland is officially underway, and jerseys are starting to hit the shelves, and fans in Cleveland are getting understandably excited about all of that. Their general manager, John Dorsey, spoke with our Michelle Steele yesterday about why he made the trade for the superstar wide receiver, and there's some eye-opening comments in here. Give a listen.
He's proven that he is a really good football player. I think he's young enough now where he's got a lot of years left of football. I think we have a young football team. Being reunited with one of his best friends in Jarvis Landry, to me, they'll compete. I always heard Les Miles always say that, these two guys push each other to the limit, which only makes them better. And they're going to compete, which is awesome because that's all you can ask for. No, it's time to go to work.
Time to go to work.
We've only been 7-8. We're only 7-8-1.
Far cry from where you were this time last year, though.
That's what we're here to wake the sleeping giant.
Wake the sleeping giant, says John Dorsey, who, if this thing goes well, may have generally managed his way directly into the Hall of Fame by turning this team around the way he did. But we were talking before the show this morning about the situation he inherited. Yeah. Yes, they were terrible, but he actually inherited a pretty good situation.
Previous GM Sashi Brown and that front office that they put together years ago had a plan to build premium draft picks, to stockpile of premium draft picks, and it worked. I mean, you think about the moves they made. Remember when they got Brock Osweiler from the Texans? They didn't even want to play him. They just wanted the second-round pick that came with him. They could take his cap hit. That pick turned into Nick Chubb, right? So the picks they got from Houston in the trade where Houston moved up to get Deshaun Watson, they got Denzel Ward with one of those picks. So it was a plan of trying to, take advantage of being as bad as they were, having as much cap space as they had, put together as many high draft picks as they could and rebuild. John Dorsey is doing a good job with the picks.
You have to get the picks right.
But he doesn't have
You made
them.
a point that the way the formula
did.
works in 2018, what did they have in Cleveland going into that draft?
If you look at like the draft value chart, that they use to assess what the picks are worth relative to each other in trade, the Browns had the most draft pick value in the history of the draft going into 2018. So that's as a result of what the previous regime did.
Now they have to get it right, and they have to put it all together with some combustible personalities. How confident are you that will work out okay?
Incredibly confident. And this is why I know there's a lot of questions. Freddie Kitchens, his first-time job. It's about Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield, to me, is Tony Stark in the Avengers. He's Tony Stark, and he's got to handle all those personalities. He's got Thor now. He's got Captain America. But at the end of the day, he's the alpha of the alphas. He's the alpha leader that they're all going to come back to every single week and go, we'll follow what you say. We'll follow what you say. And so to John Dorsey's credit, he got that pick right. I have confidence in all these personalities mixing together in the chemistry because they've got the alpha. They've got Iron Man, their version of Tony Stark.
That's performance-based, or that's just the nature of his personality?
Both. The nature of it, because at the end of the day, the NFL is about respect, and it's about what you do on Sundays. He's proven it on Sundays, but it's that leadership that comes out of him all the time. And don't forget, Odell and Baker are similar. They dress the same. They listen to the same music. They like to kick it. They're very much so similar people.
I feel like you must not have seen the last Avengers movie. If you're making the
it's coming. The last one was great, but Endgame is coming.
Didn't end great for Tony.
There's another one left.
I'm just saying.
Let's see how it ends for Baker. We got just getting started here this morning on Get Up on what is setting up to be a huge day, looking to a big weekend. How did the Raiders get Antonio Brown out of Pittsburgh without giving up a #1 pick? The man who made the deal, Mike Mayock, will join us live 9:30 Eastern today. Don't miss that. And he is back and better than ever. If you didn't see Zion last night, we're taking you through it. It was spectacular. Get Up with ESPN.
You're loyal to friends, family, and your favorite designers. Good on you. Now at Men's Warehouse, take 60% off designer suits. Enjoy $149 designer sport coats, plus select dress shirts for only $3 for $99.
You're gonna like the way you look.
When you book at Hilton.com, you get the price match guarantee. So if you find your room at a lower rate, Hilton is like, we're gonna match that rate and give you an extra 25% off.
What would travel sites do if you found a different price?
That's not my problem, it's your problem. Book at Hilton.com and get the Hilton price match guarantee.
There are those who stand forever ready. Ready to defend the nation. Ready to fight for what matters. No matter what.
Let's go! Get my round in there!
Do you have what it takes? Find out at goarmy.com/warriors.
Psst. Hey, you. The one with the designer dog collar. Wondering how I upgraded to this sweet pad? A 1,200 square foot bathroom and my very own spa. All I had to do was give my human the look. With Wells Fargo's 3% down payment on a fixed rate loan and a simpler online application, getting into my dream home was easier than ever. Get your human to visit wellsfargo.com/woof. What would she do without me?
Introducing Wendy's $5 Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal. For $5, this giant comes with double the beef and bacon, nuggets, fries, and a drink. Get it delivered through DoorDash today for a limited time.
I can't believe it. I've been playing 4-on-4 with a barbershop quartet.
Pass the ball, pass the rock. We're open, just pass the ball.
Nah, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico. Yeah.
The J, shoot the...
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance. This Tuesday.
This was never your city. It's mine. Bring home the Academy Award winner Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Buckle up, guys.
Featuring an all-new Spider-Ham short. Spider-Verse. Own it on Blu-ray DVD combo Tuesday.
I hear it in the background. She's watching it too, saying, and this is where... Here we go. See you next week. Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
Is it true Cricket has iPhone XR?
With the amazing liquid retina display.
Is it true that you wear a wig?
Could a wig do this?
You can use your tax refund to get a car, and I should know. This is a commercial about buying cars, and this is Drive Time. They approve 99% of people who apply, and they'll save you money on your down payment, like $1,000 on average. So, grab your phone, go to drivetime.com, and see how much car you can get with your refund. Drive Time. Genius!
Get in the zone now.
North Carolina. The rivalry welcomes Zion back. ACC Tournament Semifinal. Duke, North Carolina. Tonight at 9 on ESPN.
Get Up is brought to you by the new 2019 Lincoln Nautilus. And we have a huge half hour coming your way here on Get Up on ESPN. Really good stuff, including much more on Zion Williamson. If you haven't seen him, Jalen's going to break him down at the touchscreen for you. He did some things last night that if you had any questions, he brought all the answers. Then Shefty with some big moves made yesterday that we did not necessarily see all of them coming. And then Orlovsky is going to give you the NFL's top 5 teams. Wait until you hear who isn't among them. But before any of that, we have this. Sneaky Hembo time. Jalen, you'll like it. Carolina has beaten Duke twice this year, going for a 3rd win tonight. True or false? Duke has never lost to Carolina 3 times in a season under Coach K. It's true? It's false? The answer is next. You're watching Get Up on ESPN.
You realize your vows are a Whitesnake song?
I do. If you ride, you get it. Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Handles pretty nice, right?
Handles really well.
Introducing the 2019 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. If you like sculpted lines, you'll love its dynamic design. In a world of asphalt, gravel, and snow, Super All-Wheel Control will save the day with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty and a fully loaded, technologically advanced cockpit that will transport you to another universe.
Get $3,000 cash back or 0% APR for 72 months plus $1,000 cash back on select 2018 models.
Oh my God, Becky, look at that crust!
At Pizza Hut, we're the ultimate cheesy crust, with 16 pockets overflowing with melted cheese.
Smirnoff knows you don't need a lot to have a good time. 2, please. Jonathan?
Oh, I'm still nursing this one, Booby.
Booby? My mom used to call me that.
Captive State. 10 years ago, they arrived. They promised us a better future.
They're gonna take everything. I've got a plan.
One man, a spark of revolution. Captive State, rated PG-13.
You're loyal to friends, family, and your favorite designers. Good on you. Now at Men's Warehouse, take 60% off designer suits. Enjoy $149 designer sport coats, plus select dress shirts for only $3 for $99.
They're gonna like the way you look. We didn't dream up a new way to find the best ramen. We never thought, you know what Mars needs? A dune buggy. We didn't decide you should be able to share your home with travelers from around the world. We're not the ones who imagined one day we'd all be streaming movies, or whatever she's about to do. But when asked if these ideas were possible, we're the only cloud with the capabilities, experience, and know-how to make them happen. AWS is how.
They wanna know where the jump shot come from. Balance eye contact, elbow room, follow through. See, that's what I was taught to do. Never get the credit I deserve. I don't know if you hearing every word. Yeah, I'm a threat, Yeah, I'm a threat, You know I'm a threat, Yeah, I'm a threat.
I can't believe it.
That there's a lobster in our hot tub?
Oh, you guys. There's a jet. Oh, I needed this.
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on our car insurance with Geico.
Geico. Believe it.
For those days when the weather ignores your plans, you can be protected from higher fares. Introducing a rewards program made to keep modern life moving.
It's taking over. There's no escape. You better get moving. Ready or not, get ready.
We are back on Get Up, and sneaky Hembo Jalen strikes again. Carolina has beaten Duke twice this season. They play again tonight on ESPN, going for a third win. True or false? Duke has never lost to Carolina 3 times in a season under Coach K. True or false?
That has to be false. All of the great players that have been at Carolina, they had to be able to beat them 3 times once.
The answer, unfortunately for you, is true. Oh. There's nothing better than this. He's only lost to the same opponent 3 times in a season twice. It was Wake Forest in 1982 and Virginia with Ralph Sampson in 1983.
You got me, Hembo.
If you didn't see Zion last night, let me show you what this kid did. He was absolutely spectacular in his return. Hasn't played in a month, no problem. Zion missed 5 games in total with that knee injury, didn't miss a beat. Just over 2 minutes into the game. Here he goes, throwing it down, showing you absolutely all of the athleticism that has made him maybe the greatest show in sports today. So he looks fine. And then Jalen, watch him here, playing in the defensive end. We're going to throw it up, says R.J. Barrett, and I'm going to throw it down, says Zion. He had himself a first half. Duke led it by 6 at halftime. And in the second half, we got more of the same. Watch Zion in position inside. This, to me, is my favorite play that he made on the night. Look at that touch with the left hand. Oh, by the way, that made him 11 of 11 from the floor. Duke's lead was only 4 at this point as well, so they needed every one of these buckets. Now watch the defensive end. Elijah Hughes, get that out of here. That's what Zion says. He did it all last night. He was 13 of 13 from the floor, 29 points, 14 rebounds. Duke wins by a dozen. And as we mentioned, they will play Carolina for the 3rd time this season tonight. Zion will finally get to play against the Tar Heels. You know, we talked about that Syracuse zone. It was no match for Zion Williamson. He outscored Syracuse in the paint all by himself, 24-20. He had 4 more dunks than the Orange did as a team. And again, if you didn't watch it, this was a game most of the night last night, and he was absolutely spectacular as he was doing it. So, Jalen, let's go to the touchscreen and show me a little bit of what made Zion so spectacular last night.
The amazing thing about Zion is we're going to be wowed by his athleticism, and rightfully so, when we talk about the dunks and the 360s and whatnot. But I want to show how an effort play and anticipation separates his greatness from a lot of collegiate players. So check this out. He's right here on the weak side of this play. It seems like he's not going to have much of an impact on it, right?
Right.
He's staring at the ball. He's just doing what he does as a help side defender. Now watch this. As the ball continues to, now check this out. This guy almost comes off, he's paying attention to this pass. Like Khalil Mack.
Right.
On the weak side. Now watch this, anticipation.
Yeah.
And he's off to the races. And you know once he get out in transition, there's nobody better in collegiate basketball.
Frank, what do you see there? I mean, that kind of effort play, that kind of effort defense, that's something that you don't necessarily see.
Well, that's the effort that we were talking about earlier, but the anticipation is what Jalen's pointing out here, and that's basketball instincts. You know, I mean, we talk about his athleticism and his strength. Okay, with the basketball instincts combined with the effort that he plays with, it's just special.
All right, see the next play.
And that's how you convert from offense to defense.
Right. Just swipe it across.
Okay, cool. So now this next play, check Zion out. He's at the top of the floor, just spreading, spacing, continues to move. Now watch this, Greeny. Again, this is what I like. These instincts are things you can't teach. Check this out. He sees the shot go up, and everybody knows, like, this guy understands. Like, I need to box out Zion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Look at this. He got the goggles and everything. Like, I need to stop this guy, like, straight up. Now watch this. Doesn't even matter. Bullies him and goes after the effort play, offensive rebound, basket, and one, coach.
Yeah, he's just a monster, in particular on the offensive glass. Okay, we have the instincts to read the ball that way, but then you have the physicality to just knock off guys that are trying to box you out and find your avenue to the basketball. You have an elite player.
And then when you see these guys looking like this, they don't want to be in the game. They don't want no parts of that. None at all.
Give me one more play.
So here's the next one. How about this? Every player has strengths and every player has weaknesses. Syracuse does a really good job of keeping you perimeter oriented at times when they play zone. So check out Zion. There's some things in life you got to live with. And with Zion, you like, you know what? I'm going to fake and fall here. I'm going to force him to play perimeter oriented basketball and see if he can make a shot outside the paint. That's the only one he made.
If he adds
13.
Okay, so that was the only shot.
It's
the only shot he took outside the paint last night. If he adds a long-range jump shot to his game, then it is going to be frightening.
Yeah, and that'll all come in time. But the way the league plays with space nowadays, you see guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo and Ben Simmons playing basket attack basketball without a perimeter jump shot. So he'll survive early without it.
He is that spectacular. All right, his next stop, obviously, after this run will be the pros. Let's get you to the NBA yesterday because I told Frank Vogel I was going to make him pick a team against his will in the Eastern Conference, and this is the team he likes. The suddenly surging Celtics. Watch them against Sacramento last night. This is the third quarter of a game in which they're trailing, and then Jaylen Brown takes over for a stretch. You saw him knock down a three? How about another? Jaylen Brown. Celtics getting themselves back in the game. A minute to go in the third. Celtics are down one right now, and that's Brown. Again, he was 3 of 3 from 3 in the third quarter, and the Celtics take a 1-point lead. So the fourth we go. Boston up 1 in this fourth quarter. And watch Kyrie Irving. Now it's his time. And Jalen, you've been telling me they're going to need him late in games. Look at the touch here.
Ooh, that's just nasty. He can jump off of both legs. He can finish with both hands, soft touch. And look at the versatility. The point guard off the block with the one-leg step-back jumper and has the nerve to say that somebody else is too small.
That gives him an 8-point lead. And then look at the handles inside. That's unstoppable. His second career triple-double. 31 points, 10 boards, 12 assists. Celtics win it 126-120. They're currently 5th in the East, but Vegas views them very favorably. They have the third best odds to win the conference behind the Bucks and the Raptors. That is according to Westgate. And so again, Frank Vogel wanted no part of this. Okay? He did not want to pick a team to win the Eastern Conference no matter what, and I forced him.
Those guys.
And so when I have forced you to do it, you have told me you will take Boston.
Well, I think they still remain the favorite in the Eastern Conference.
Why?
Well, with LeBron out of the conference, they're the de facto defending champs. Okay, and they've got a core that's been in place, a system that's been in place, and they've added Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. So for the same reasons they came into the season as the favorite to win this conference, they remain the favorite. And you know what they've dealt with throughout the regular season to me was predictable. Asking those guys to go back to the bench and play lesser roles and to succeed in those roles, that's a challenge. But I believe that they'll come together at the right time going into the playoffs and just go on a run.
It's one thing to get through that during the regular season. It's another thing for everyone to have figured out exactly, and the coach to have figured out what everyone's role is going into the postseason. Do you think they've done that?
Pending Embiid's health, I'm going with Philly because I believe they're more catered to playoff-style basketball with their big four and J.J. Redick to knock down shots. But the Boston Celtics are the team I feel like they'll face in the conference finals pending matchups.
My gut feeling is that the Celtics, I would agree with Frank if I thought that they all knew exactly what they were going to do. But the playoffs, and you know this better than anybody, it's like a series of peaks and valleys, right? So when things are going well, it's one thing. But when things start going badly, we've seen them have a sort of a propensity to fracture as the season has gone on. Are you concerned that might happen when they go through what is inevitable, which is a tough stretch in the postseason?
I don't think they would fracture come playoff time because the importance that takes place at that point of the year eliminates selfishness. That's the things that you do during the regular season. Once the postseason kicks in, I think everybody's going to be all in.
You know, you've been through this. Again, long, legendary 7-game series when you were coaching Indiana with Miami. When you got those downs, you're invariably going to lose a tough game in the playoffs. What is the key to keeping a team together through those?
Well, that's what you work throughout the whole season to establish. You establish your togetherness. It's something you achieve. Okay, and that's what the Celtics have been working towards. The flight out to LA, I guess, was a big step in that. And, I think they're going to come together at the right time. But look, the path to the finals is going to be more difficult this year than it was last year. Milwaukee is far better. Toronto is far better. Philly is far better. And they're not going to have home court advantage. So it will be a challenge, but I think they'll come together.
At the end of the day, if you had to pick a team, you would take Boston and you would take Philadelphia.
And I don't want to discount the Bucks and the Raptors.
Except you always do. You do nothing but discount the Bucks. You have been discounting the Bucks for weeks, which is why I have adopted the Bucks because no one buys them at all. They have the best player, and they have as deep a roster as any team in the East. Let me give you a little eye candy because there were some great moments worth watching last night. Jalen, here's your guy, Jokic, not yoking around for Denver against the Mavs. Watch him here at the buzzer for the win. How about Jokic, Jalen, for the winner?
The Joker, just think about this. The only center that you will throw an inbounds pass into and allow him to create a play for himself or a teammate within the last 5 seconds of a game in the entire NBA.
He genuinely does stuff no other big does. How about this one? Pacers, Thunder, under 10 seconds to go. Pacers the ball. Watch Wesley Matthews. 1.8 seconds left. Wes Matthews flies in and gets the putback for the win.
You talk about discounting teams. The Pacers may upset the apple cart depending on that 4 or 5 matchup. And I'm glad Matthews got the tip in to win because Miles Turner was open at the top. And he was not happy he didn't get the ball.
One way or another, that's the team no one is paying attention to. You want to talk about being disrespected? The Pacers
Go to work,
have been disrespected. All right, as we continue next, Odell Beckham Jr. is now in Cleveland. Does that make them the best team in the National Football League? Orlovsky tells you who's number 1 now. Next.
Detroit Lions.
Introducing Wendy's $5 Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal. For $5, this giant comes with double the beef and bacon, nuggets, fries, and a drink. Get it delivered through DoorDash today for a limited time.
What makes DiGiorno Crispy Pan Pizza different than delivery?
Pan, 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 pan.
Pan, pan, pan. You bake it fresh in its own pan, giving our DiGiorno pizza a crispy, caramelized crust. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
10 years ago, Coach James Lurson gave Brian Ortega a choice. Continue fighting for his life in the streets of LA, or fight for gold and his community in the Octagon. Today, as a top-ranked UFC featherweight, Ortega uses the fighting spirit that he learned from his coach to inspire others like him to fight for something better. Since 1925, we've proved that it doesn't matter where you come from. It matters what you're made of. Modelo, the official beer of UFC.
You still stressed about buying our first house, sweetie?
Yeah, I thought doing some hibachi grilling would help take my mind off it all.
Maybe you could relieve some stress by calling Geico for help with our homeowner's insurance.
Geico helps with homeowner's insurance?
They sure do. And they could save us a bundle of money, too.
I'm calling Geico right now. Cell phone. It's ringing.
Get to know Geico and see how much you could save on homeowners and condo insurance.
To create the ultimate all-around mowing experience, don't follow the rules. Write your own. Durability matters, but true strength makes the most of every ounce. Redefine comfort. Design a command center built for speed and control. And deliver a best-in-class cut for creating more memorable outdoor moments. Step up to the all-new Ultima series from Cub Cadet.
the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be at your back. Rise above in the uncompromising Cadillac SUVs.
You're loyal to friends, family, and your favorite designers. Good on you. Now at Men's Warehouse, take 60% off designer suits. Enjoy $149 designer sport coats, plus select dress shirts for only $3 for $99.
You're gonna like the way you look.
I had no symptoms of hepatitis C.
Mine caused liver damage. Epclusa treats all main types of chronic hep C. Whatever your type, ask your doctor if Epclusa is your kind of cure.
I had the common type.
Mine was rare. Epclusa has a 98% overall cure rate.
I just found out about my hepatitis C.
I knew for years. Epclusa is only one pill, once a day, taken with or without food for 12 weeks. Before starting Epclusa, your doctor will test if you have had hepatitis B, which may flare up and could cause serious liver problems during and after treatment. Tell your doctor if you have had hepatitis B, other liver or kidney problems, HIV or other medical conditions, and all medicines you take, including herbal supplements. Taking amiodarone with Epclusa may cause a serious slowing of your heart rate. Common side effects include headache and tiredness. Ask your doctor today if Epclusa is your kind of cure.
If you have a garden, you know. Weeds are low-down little scoundrels. With Roundup Sure Shot Wand, you don't need to stoop to their level. Draw the line. The Sure Shot Wand extends with a protective shield to pinpoint those pesky bedfellows. It lets you kill what's bad right down to the root, while comfortably guarding the good. Draw the line with the Roundup Sure Shot Wand. Roundup brand. Trusted for over 40 years.
We're back on Get Up, and last night was the first home game for the Utah Jazz since the team permanently banned a fan for excessive and derogatory verbal abuse, which led to this incident with Russell Westbrook during Monday's game. Last night, the owner of the Jazz, Gail Miller, addressed the crowd.
I am extremely disappointed that one of our, quote, fans conducted himself in such a way as to offend not only a guest in our arena, but also me personally, my family, our organization, the community, our players, and you as the best fans in the NBA. This should never happen. We are not a racist community. My heartfelt request to all of you is that from this time forward, we all take pride in holding ourselves and those around us to the highest standard of decency. Use your energy cheering our team with your honest, sincere enthusiasm rather than degrading or demeaning players on the opposing team. No one wins when respect goes away.
And those are the comments from Gail Miller before they played last night. Jalen, what's your reaction?
I applaud her leadership, and I applaud the fact that she took a level of ownership, because when we talked a lot about this, we truly didn't know what the fan was saying other than what Russell said to the media. So after investigating this, they clearly understood that he crossed the line. They banned him from Utah games, and that was the right decision. But I have to say this, as somebody that's played a lot of games at Utah, when they had Stockton and Malone, when they was really humming, while they deserve what we're saying in a negative light about them, I just must highlight they have one of the best home crowds and fan bases in the entire NBA. Sure. Hopefully this now becomes an isolated incident of their past.
Generally speaking, Frank, all the years that you have coached in the NBA, have you ever had an experience where you felt you had to get security involved or anything like that, where it clearly crossed a line?
Not really, but I've seen it, and that's got to be clearly educated to our players on a regular basis that, there's going to be situations where fans are disrespectful, and the right way to handle disrespect is to get your team security, get one of the arena security, and they can escort the fan out of the building, but it's not to confront the fan.
I'd like to say something about that quickly, and that is the only way you do an investigation into this, as they did, is by asking the people who were sitting around the guy, did he actually say what Russell is saying that he said? If that's the case, then everyone knew that ahead of time. Correct. And so I will go back to what I said the other day. The key to solving this problem is that they anticipate these problems, that you act rather than react. Don't wait until it becomes a problem. Do something ahead of time. If you were sitting in an arena and you hear someone sitting sitting near you who was saying things that you know as a human being violate the basic boundaries of decency, you yourself should go get someone from security. You don't have to confront someone. That's very difficult to do sometimes. Go get a security person and say, you know what, this person is making life uncomfortable, not only for the players, but for all of us sitting here, and someone needs to do something about it.
Well said. And I have to acknowledge a line of demarcation, and it's that one part of a disrespectful fan that's cursing and calling you out of your name.
Yeah.
Then there's another disrespectful fan that's using racist chants. Those are two different things, and that's why it's important for her to address it like they did, because when Donovan Mitchell comes out and speaks against one of his own fans, now all of a sudden that affects your bottom line. It affects you recruiting players to come play in Utah.
Okay, we will talk more about this as we go. I've got Shefty standing by, so I got to run to the football here, but I thought that was important that we say it. Let me get you to the NFL. Teddy Bridgewater has made his decision as the moves keep coming in free agency. Despite meeting with the Dolphins Wednesday, he will stay with the Saints. 1 year, $7.25 million. His deal could be worth almost $13 million. And let's get into that with Adam Schefter, who joins us live here in the conversation. Shefty, what went into this decision by Bridgewater to stay in New Orleans?
Well, Green, it was really up to the Miami Dolphins to make Teddy Bridgewater an offer that he couldn't refuse. And clearly, the Dolphins did not do that. And Teddy Bridgewater would have needed that type of offer to go back to Miami to play in his hometown, in front of his hometown fans, while the Dolphins are really keeping their eyes on 2020 and the quarterbacks in that draft, the old expression, tanking for Tua. Meanwhile, Teddy Bridgewater knew that by going back to New Orleans, he's got a nice situation, a 1 year, fully guaranteed, $7.25 million deal that could be worth up to $12.5 million if he hits all the incentives. And it's odd because if you go back in history, on March 14th, 2006, Drew Brees, the 32nd overall pick in the draft, signed a deal with the New Orleans Saints. And on March 14th, 2019, Teddy Bridgewater, the 32nd pick in the draft, signs a deal with the New Orleans Saints. 13 years apart, quarterback signed with the Saints, and Bridgewater's hoping to have an extended run, much like Brees has had in New Orleans.
Now, that would be something else. All right, a couple of other notable free agents remain, Shefty. Let's jump to that. Where do you see some of them winding up? Let's start with Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles is in a situation, Greeny, if you look around the league, there are teams that actually do need backup quarterback help. The Dolphins need starting quarterback help. I would imagine that they would have some level of interest in Blake Bortles. But if he also was uncomfortable about going to Miami, then at that point in time, he could look around. Cleveland needs a backup quarterback. Denver needs a backup quarterback. The Rams need a backup quarterback. There are a lot of teams that need backup quarterbacks, and I think that Blake Bortles will actually have a market and have the chance to be selective. Eric Berry already getting calls from teams. He's going to be selective as well. Going to go through the process here. He'll have to clear through the medical issues with his Achilles, with his sicknesses in the past. We'll see how that works out, but there's going to be interest. Eric Berry's going to find a new home at some point in time. And then, of course, the Oakland Raiders yesterday made a couple of moves. They released their backup quarterback, A.J. McCarron, and more notably, their wide receiver, Jordy Nelson. Now, Jordy Nelson is a free agent 1 year after he also was on the market. You have to imagine that Aaron Rodgers is going to want Jordy Nelson to come back to Green Bay. We heard about the Packers potentially being interested in Antonio Brown. It never materialized. Well, you'd have to think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be calling the front office and the coaches to say, let's get back Jordy. We could use some wide receiver help. Randall Cobb is still a free agent. Jordy Nelson could certainly help the Packers offense, Greeny.
It's very interesting to see if they do that. Shefty, well done. What a terrific week. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Green. Now let's look at who Orlovsky thinks is number one.
Breaking news from the NFL. The Giants have agreed to trade Odell Beckham Jr. to the Browns.
If you're a Cleveland Brown fan, it's time to be excited right now.
Odell makes the catch, heading to the end zone for a touchdown.
Odell Beckham Jr. reunites with Jarvis Landry, his former LSU college teammate.
This team is dangerous.
All right, so does Odell make the Browns the number one team in the NFL? Fundamental list time. Top 5 teams in the NFL right this minute. Orlovsky, go.
Well, not number one, but I'm putting the Browns at number 5. The reality is, when Freddie Kitchens took over this team last year, they were the best offense in the NFL. And now you've added Odell Beckham to a team that still has a guy like Nick Chubb, quarterback Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry. This offense is going to be incredibly difficult to stop with him at quarterback, and they've also added some good pieces on the defensive line as well.
All right, who's better than them? Who's at number 4?
I'm still putting the Bears at number 4. Don't forget, Khalil Mack is still on their team. Roquan Smith is going to have his second year as a linebacker. I actually like the addition. So the defense is still going to be dominant. Chuck Pagano there, still going to be able to play. I like the Cordero Patterson pickup. I think he's going to be a good kind of mismatch guy that they can toy around with Matt Nagy. Mitchell Trubisky take another step forward, huge second year. Can you grow again?
Now, who knows what happens if they make a kick and make a deep run in the playoffs last year? Who's number 3?
The Drew Brees-led New Orleans Saints. You still have that guy, who's one of the great quarterbacks of all time. Still have Kamara. They still have Michael Thomas. And I actually like the fact that they added Latavius Murray. I know that they lose Mark Ingram, but Latavius Murray, big physical guy. Cam Jordan on the defensive line. They added some pieces with Malcolm Brown on defense. Marshawn Lattimore's still there. So this is a team that everyone knows to play last year. One play away type thing.
Right.
Very good.
They're going to come back angry. I'm doing math in my head. We only have 2 spots left. Who's number 2?
Philadelphia Eagles, man.
Really?
Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz, hopefully healthy, having a whole year. I've talked about the addition of Deshaun Jackson really opening up this offense and getting not only that deep threat in, something Carson Wentz does really well, but now you're going to open it up for Zach Ertz again, and you're going to open it up for Aguilar again. That's going to help your offensive line. The defensive line with Brandon Graham, now with Malik Jackson, Barnett coming back. This is going to be a very, very difficult team next year.
There's 3 teams left for number 1. So which one did you pick?
Listen, a lot of people think I'm dumb. I'm not stupid enough to not put the Patriots number 1. I mean, this is a team that's been to the last 3 Super Bowls. He's still playing. The head coach is still coaching. The secondary is still as good as anyone's in the NFL. Does Gronk come back? We'll find out. But the Patriots still are number 1 until someone knocks them off the perch.
I have my close personal friend, Dan Graziano, standing by here just to make sure that I'm seeing this correctly. Dan, is it me or are Kansas City and the Rams not on this list?
And the Chargers, the 3 teams the Patriots beat in the postseason, right? Those are 3 pretty good teams.
Yeah. How is Kansas City not on this list?
All right, so Kansas City's not on the list, and the Jets.
Kansas City.
I love Kansas City, but the weakness of that football team last year was their defense.
Yeah.
You could make the case that their defense is worse today than it was during the season. The only thing that they did really well last year was rush the passer. They lost Houston and got rid of Dee Ford. And so the thing that they did good on the worst part of their team is now gone, even with the addition of Honey Badger, and they lost Steven Nelson.
You agree with this?
Defense is worse.
I agree. I think they have major question marks on defense. Steve Spagnuolo, the new defensive coordinator, has a good reputation, but his recent run hasn't been great. The last couple of years with the Giants, the year in New Orleans, obviously. So Kansas City is going to have to score a lot of points to win its
And the
game.
Rams' offensive line's depleted. Gurley's health, what does that look like?
I don't know what that looks like. I know what Pat Mahomes looks like. If I was doing this list, Kansas City would be number 1. As we continue, the man behind the Raider revival joins us live 9:30 Eastern. Mike Mayock on how they stole Antonio Brown.
I'll take a Coke.
Is Pepsi okay?
Is Pepsi okay? Is Pepsi okay? How? Are puppies okay? Is a shooting star okay? Is the laughter of a small child okay? Pepsi's more than okay. It's okay. Okay, what have we learned today?
You want a Pepsi?
I want a Pepsi.
There you go. Okay.
I've got to come up with my own catchphrase.
Okay.
People rely on you to fix the leak. Prep the food. Keep it cool. And please your customers. No matter what people count on you to do, you can rely on the Ram ProMaster and ProMaster City to help you do it better than anyone else.
Now, competitive commercial van owners or lessees are eligible for these incentives on Ram ProMaster and ProMaster City.
The King's turning up the heat and bringing the spice with these spicy nuggets. Filled with juicy white meat and priced at $10 for $1.49. A deal so hot you can taste it. 10 spicy or original nuggets for $1.49. Only at Burger King.
So you're open all day, every day?
That's what 24/7 means, sugar.
Kind of like how you get 24/7 access to licensed agents with Geico.
Yeah,
you just go online, give them a call anytime.
You don't say.
Yep. Now, what will it take to get 24/7 access to that lemon meringue pie?
Pie's coming.
That's what it takes, baby.
Geico. Great service from licensed agents 24/7.
Stepped out of my zone. I had to get out all alone and figure it out on my own. And now I see clear in HD.
Anyone can wear the mask. You could wear the mask. I'm Spider-Man.
The Academy Award winner Spider-Verse, own it Tuesday.
You're loyal to friends, family, and your favorite designers. Good on you. Now at Men's Warehouse, take 60% off designer suits. Enjoy $149 designer sport coats, plus select dress shirts for only $3 for $99.
You're gonna like the way you look.
Classic Chevrolet. Relax and enjoy the difference. As a leader in the marketplace, Classic Chevrolet is here to serve you every step of the way. Online or on the showroom floor, our honest upfront price is just a click, call, or visit away. During Truck Month, you'll experience huge discounted savings on the largest Chevy truck inventory from coast to coast. Like 2018 Silverado 1500s, just $27,998. Save $13,000 off 2018 Tahoes.
Classic Chevrolet. Relax, enjoy the difference. It's taking over. There's no escape. You better get moving. Ready or not, get ready.
Summit Sports Center tonight, 5:30 after Auburn, South Carolina. Keith and Jay will chronicle Zion's return, plus Flashback Friday to the most historic upset in the history of the tournament and NFL free agency deals that made the most sense this week. All that and more. Sports Center after the SEC quarters on ESPN and the ESPN app. And with that, we welcome you back to our studios in New York. Jam-packed today with Jalen and Frank Vogel and the Dans, Orlovsky and Graziano. Mike Mayock coming up in the next hour, but we are busy today coming to you live from the Seaport District at Pier 17, brought to you by Chase. And we get up with Zion. He was back and better than ever last night. His highlights are 1 minute away. If you haven't seen this, you're not going to believe what he did. And as I mentioned, the man behind the Raider revival joins us live in half an hour. Explain how he got Antonio Brown out of Pittsburgh and gave up so little. Plus, it's the worst word in sports, and it may now apply to at least one and maybe two NFL teams. The worst part is it probably works. We're ready to go. We're ready to get up with you starting right now. And Jalen, it starts with that man. Zion Williamson missed 5 games, but now he's back. And he's got a custom-made pair of Kyrie 4s in time for last night's game against Cuse.
As long as he was going to play basketball for Duke, he was going to be in some Nikes.
And tell you what, he didn't miss a beat. Look at him here. Right away, he's flying high.
In transition, the steal goes the other way with the big-time slam dunk with the right hand for the lefty.
You don't realize how much we've missed that until you see it again. Now Duke is down a deuce, and R.J. Barrett is throwing it up and no good, and Zion is there for the offensive rebound. They're up by 4. Now watch Zion here. This is a very controversial moment in the game. Zion with a big jam, but keep watching. That Frank Howard of Syracuse appears to stick the foot out as Zion is running by. Now, he also then holds the hand out as though he's trying to hold him up there. It's sort of tough to say. We're going to talk about this in greater length in a moment. Nothing was called on the play. Now, here's Zion. If he adds this to the repertoire, forget it. That was the only shot he took outside the paint the entire night. Duke was up 6. Now, later in the first half, off the steal, R.J. Barrett throw it up. Zion throw it down.
Absolutely. In transition, that tandem has been terrific for the Blue Devils all season.
Yeah, they'll be 1 and 2 in the draft. Duke was up 6 at halftime. To the second half we go. This is a ball game. Duke is only up 2 points. Trey Jones, throw it inside Zion. Listen with the power to hold the man off with 4. And then here comes my favorite play of the night from Zion. Look at this touch, Jalen.
And it's also great coaching, understanding that you got to take advantage of the backside of a 2-3 zone in particular and use your body to not only catch the lob, but to get the offensive rebound.
But that touch is ridiculous. And then the brute force. He's now 12 for 12 from the floor. Duke is up 6. And how about on the defensive end, Jalen?
Underrated defender for those that get so caught up in the lobs and the dunks, and rightfully so. This is one of his best attributes, the ability to contest and block shots.
Almost hits his head on the rim again. Then here on an offensive board, that would complete his scoring. 13 of 13 for the night. 29 points, 14 rebounds. Duke now trying to run out the clock a little bit. They're up by 11. Oh, yeah, they have R.J. Barrett, too. Throwing it down not once, but twice as nice. You'll see another dunk here. Barrett would score 23. Duke will get another shot at Carolina tonight. They win in Zion's return by 12 last night.
So the people who thought I wasn't going to return, they weren't smart. Like, I love playing with Duke. I love my teammates, and it was great to be back.
What would you want to say to those people who question you'd come back?
I mean, they are entitled to their own opinion. You know, I appreciate the input, but I can't leave my boys hanging.
I've seen a lot of great players. I'm not saying he's better than those guys, but he's a different player. He can do things that nobody has done in this game. I mean, Charles, like I've said, it was close, but this guy's bigger, stronger, and I mean, he's crazy, different type of player. There's not guys like him.
Now, and there candidly haven't been. I mean, look at these numbers. He's averaging 22 points on almost 70% shooting from the floor. Would be the highest field goal percentage by a 20-point score in the last 15 years. Markedly higher than that of Blake Griffin, who currently has that mark. Let us go down to Charlotte. Jay Will has been down there for us. Jay Williams in the arena last night covering all of that. I want to start with the game. I want to start with Zion. Again, perfect from the floor. Just spectacular in his return. What impressed you the most about him last night?
You know, I got a great conversation with Ben Wallace when I first came into the league, and he said to me, if you play hard, Jay, for 35 minutes, you'll end up getting 15 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists just by playing hard, by showing effort. That's who Zion Williamson is. You combine that, Greeny, with the skill set, with his intention, with the emotional energy he brings to the game. He once again proved to you, even after taking 4 or 5 games off, that he is the first pick in the draft, hands down, easily. Because this is a kid coming back from his first game. He has 29, 10-plus rebounds, 5 steals, and he's still trying to find his way. That's something scary about Zion Williamson. That's how talented he is.
I agree with you completely. Now, to the scary, because there was a sort of scary moment last night. I know it upset you greatly. I want to show it again for everyone to make sure you get one more chance to see it. This is a moment that takes place in the game, the tripping incident, as it's being called, with Syracuse. Frank Howard sticking the foot out. Zion doesn't go down. Just watch it again. You make up your own mind what you think you're seeing there. I want you to hear from Howard's coach. This is Jim Boeheim after the game last night.
I talked to Frank. I looked at the video. There was no trip involved out there. I don't know who was talking about that, but it was a bump, and that's it. You know, there was nothing there. Trying to manufacture something out of nothing.
If you're saying I'm trying to trip him, I don't get it. You know, he's a hell of an athlete, a hell of a player. You know, I have a lot of respect for him. You know, I'm not going to wait 4 years to get to this stage to start tripping people.
Okay, thank you, guys.
It's a joke.
Okay, I should point out a lot of people were talking about this last night. And, Jay, I know in your initial reaction, you were definitely one of them. As you sort of sit here this morning, what is your reaction to that incident and what Boeheim said about it?
Greeny, I saw it. It wasn't something that was manufactured last night. It wasn't something that he was caught up in a scuffle and it just happened. He tripped him. He tried to trip him. Now, I have an analogy for you. It might be extreme. So if I walk into a store and I shoplift a couple of items and I walk out of the store and the cameras didn't catch me and the clerk at the front desk didn't catch me, does that mean I didn't steal anything from the store? No, I did steal something from the store. I just didn't get caught. And we caught that red-handed last night. Now, a couple years ago, Greeny, whether it was Florida State being the first incident, well, it was Louisville being the second incident, or Elon being the third for Grayson Allen, I stood up for that multiple times saying that that was wrong. I called it out. I took a lot of heat for that from Duke people and from other people. That's fine. I appreciate things when it's not right, I'm going to say it. Last night was an example of that. It was not right. Now, if Zion Williamson had fallen, I heard what Jalen said this morning. This would have been a way bigger story. Just because he didn't fall does not mean that it didn't happen. I call out Grayson Allen. I'll call out Frank Howard, too. It's black and white. It's there for you to see right there on the tape.
All right, I actually agree, and we'll get to Jalen on that in just a second. Let me quickly ask you, though, with Zion back playing the way he's playing, he will finally get his chance to play Carolina. You'll see it tonight, 9 Eastern on ESPN. Who do you expect to win that game tonight?
I think Duke has a legitimate chance to win. Carolina is probably the better team because they've had a chance to play together consecutively, but I think as this Duke team plays almost at full force, they still don't have Marquise Bolden. But still, you saw what Zion Williamson could do last night. You saw R.J. Barrett. And Zion Williamson on the court, Greeny, as a guard, it allows me to apply so much more pressure because I have a guy behind me that can erase all my mistakes. They are a different team with Zion Williamson on the court. I will take Duke tonight.
Yeah, that kid plays like that. They could beat anybody. Jay Will, well done. Have a great weekend. We'll see you in here next week. Let me take it to the table again. Jalen and Frank Vogel are in here with us this morning. And for those who did not see your comments, again, briefly this morning, you agree with Jay. You believe there was an attempt to trip Zion last night.
Absolutely. And young people make bad decisions. I was one young person that made as many bad decisions as anybody out there. But we can't act like he didn't try to trip Zion. Like, it's foolish to say that he didn't try to trip him. He clearly tried to trip him. Now, since he didn't fall, it gives everybody a chance to now try to justify it or say it didn't happen or question the intent. I played so much basketball, and Coach, you've been around the game forever. Athletes know their bodies, especially in the heat of the moment. He clearly tried to trip him. He just didn't fall.
Do you see the same thing as we watch that tape over and over?
Absolutely. You know, he definitely tried. It was a heat of the moment thing. I don't think that it should be blown up and made too big a deal of, but he definitely did try to trip him.
Okay, so the good news is Zion didn't go down. He's not hurt. He played brilliantly. Let's talk about that. You heard Jay Will say he solidifies himself as the first pick in the draft. Candidly, he was that anyway. But as you watch him, what's the one thing that jumps out to you the most that says that guy's going to be a great pro?
Well, obviously the physical talent that he has stands out right away, but watching him play, his instincts, his shot making, the touch around the basket, and, you know, what stood out to me last night is the activity level, the effort that he plays with, how hard he plays, and the way he can impact the game with blocks, steals, offensive rebounds. You know, those are things that, you know, just put are icing on the cake to his physical ability.
Jalen, when you miss almost a month, you're supposed to, like, be winded and tired and all. I mean, he looked like he didn't miss a step.
He didn't. And, you know, the fascinating thing about him as a player and as a prospect is usually the guy that's the largest and the most physical shouldn't be the most athletic and the highest jumper.
Yeah, right.
Usually the guy with the most talent isn't always the hardest worker on both ends of the floor. He has that. And so that's what makes him a unique talent amongst those that we've seen in a long time.
I have to say it again. I have been Team RJ, which is to say that I believe that while Zion will be number one, I have all along said I think RJ Barrett will be the best pro. I changed my mind. I fell in love last night. I fell in love with it. I mean, there's just no way not to. The touch around the basket, he does everything. It's not just the strength, but there's almost a freakish athleticism to the way he makes that one little putback with that left hand. He has a softness of touch. If he develops any outside game, there'll be no way to stop him.
And see, the thing about his jumper, unlike Ben Simmons, it's not broken. So if he really works at it, and when basketball becomes a full-time job, I think he can improve at it. But he's going to also be dominant defensively. We're not just showing his lobs.
Yeah.
We're showing his steals. We're showing his blocks. We're showing offensive rebounds. Like, this is a phenomenal young player.
No question. Again, Duke, Carolina tonight. You'll see it on ESPN. Right now, let's get up and go. We got a ton of things to get to. Another night, Jalen, another loss for the Lakers to the Raptors. LeBron played 32 minutes, scored 29 points, but they lose. Is this pretty much the script the rest of the way?
This is the script the rest of the way. And for the Los Angeles Lakers, it's one thing not to be in the playoffs, but it's another thing to be 2-8 in your last 10 games. We know that they've dealt with some injuries, in particular to Ingram and to Ball, but this team just looks like one that's basically mailing in the season. But it's great to see LeBron James out there performing as opposed to being shut down.
Yes, if you bought a ticket to this game, at least you still got a chance to see the great LeBron James. So I do appreciate that as well. Now let's get to Kyrie Irving. We showed you this highlight earlier. His second career triple-double. Celtics come from behind to beat the Kings. Is that a good sign for Boston that he puts a triple-double up and he took over that game late in the fourth quarter?
So that's the only sign for Boston, Greeny. Every time the Celtics play, I always look down to see how many assists Kyrie Irving has, because his ability to unlock the floor for everybody else and make them feel involved throughout the first 3 quarters in particular, then allows him to close the game instead of the other way around.
Let's go to the Pacers. They are one of the truly remarkable stories. They lose Victor Oladipo. You figure, okay, they're done. Think again. They beat the Thunder last night. Wesley Matthews wins it on that putback. How have they done this since they lost Oladipo?
Effort. They have an identity. When you watch the Pacers play, each time they're contesting shots, they're fighting over screens, they're blocking out, doing the intangibles. And they have some young, talented players. You see Miles Turner there. Bogdanovich has played quality minutes. Sabonis has been terrific for them in the trade coming over from OKC. And you add Wesley Matthews, his shooting and his defense. The Pacers will not be an easy out in the first round.
Now they refuse to go quietly into that good night. Give them credit. To the NFL as we get up and go. Le'Veon Bell, officially a Jet, says he has no regrets regarding how all these things played out, adding all the stars kind of aligned to the Jets. Dan Orlovsky, do you believe that he has no regrets about sitting out a season, whatever it is that cost him?
I really believe him. He's talked about his admiration for Curtis Martin. He's talked about that the Jets were the team that he actually wanted to go to. So now it's his opportunity. Go be the face of the franchise. You know, essentially put the money where your mouth is and go become the guy that starts the turn for this franchise moving forward.
Absolutely. Leading the